So for 5.0, we're going to have a lot of new things coming. And one of the things that you're going to need to do in 5.0 is you're going to start saving certain resources and getting new resources in order to make sure that you are prepared for the region so you get a good head start. Now, of course, Genshin Impact is a pretty easy game, so you don't need to do everything. But hey, these are things to just give you a nice kickstart when the patch comes out. So first off, there's going to be something you're going to need to save prior to the release of the area, and you're going to need to save the transient resin. I didn't save it this week. But you can save up to 2, so if you bought one out of the teapot, you can actually get the transient resin, and you can save 2 of them prior to the release, because we're going to have a lot more resin-based things that are going to be coming out for the next region. You can also do what I've done as well, which is condense resin and get some condensed resin before the new region comes out, so that'll be good. And if you've been saving fragiles, you have some on the back line, so that'd be nice as well. Another thing you can do is, of course, when you look at the things that you need to do prior to the release, of course, there's always the area for Simulanka. Make sure you get this entire region fully done and get the attached patch fully done. Otherwise, if you don't do this, these are going away. So these are the most important things to do that, you know, will be a problematic. But there are other things that you're going to be able to need to do before the release of NATLAN. And these things are a little bit more nuanced and will probably have more importance and be good habits that make throughout the entire region. So we are getting some free 4-star weapons that are going to be coming out for NATLAN. And if you don't know, there is a web event that you're going to click that will be linked somewhere on the screen right now. So if you do this web event, it will be a very nice one for us, giving 40 free primos, some heroids, some Mora, and we'll also be getting 3 4-star weapons for making sure that everybody hits through this web event. The first like 12 hours is already like half done, so we should all get them, but I think everybody needs to like do the web event either way, just so you get the 40 primos. There's also a code for 60 primos that's new, and there's a bunch of new codes here. The codes on the screen for all the new codes for Genshin Impact. So these are all the ones that you're going to need in order to make sure that you get the resources you need. In addition to that, there are going to be some other things that you're going to need to do, which is going to be, you know, getting refines for your weapons. I believe there's a new prototype belay that's going to be available for the new NATLAN weapons. So you'll be able to convert the NATLAN weapons over to the new stuff. You're gonna need dream solvents and of course the older belays to do so. But another thing you're gonna need is the condensance crystals. These underwater crystals are actually the ones that you want to use in order to max out the new regional weapons. So if you're gonna get refines on the newer weapons, those weapons require the condensance crystals, and those ones are the underwater weapons. What I recommend is using the underwater farming for these and not doing any type of overworld farm for these, because it's actually a lot longer to do any type of overworld farming. Underwater, you can use the jellyfish type thing and then blow up all the rocks, and it's actually a lot faster. I ended up farming 250 of them in under 30 minutes, so that was enough to refine 5 weapons. So that was pretty nice. So if you do want to do that, Kinich and Mulani are both going to be able to use craftable weapons starting in 5.0. So if you want their weapons to be max refined on release, these are nice things that you can do to just get a head start on that one. Another thing on this one is right before 5.0, there was a change, and the change was that we are not going to be able to get Mora from bounties anymore. So if on the Monday prior to the release of NATLAN, if you're not planning on finishing the Archon quest or rushing the Archon quest, or you're a little bit busy, make sure you get bounties done on Monday so that you can get the bounty request Mora done, so you get your resources for the week. So if you're not planning on finishing out the Archon quest, which you know is required for you to unlock New City Reputation, then just do the bounty request on Monday so that you can get that Mora, because it's going away for all the other region, all the past regions that you've already maxed out on. Another thing to do that you could do, if you aren't really in need of resin because you spent all of it on things that you actually needed to use, one thing you could do is farm Dehya. And Dehya is a character that is probably the best character to pick up out of the standard selector for 5.0. A lot of people will mention Jean, but as somebody who's been playing for a super long time, if you need Jean for your Farina, why are you not using Charlotte or Sayu? I mean, those characters are the same. Why would you pick a character that does a potentially extremely minor upgrade to those teams when you have 4-star free-to-play options that are, you know, the same? Another reason to pick up Dehya, by the way, if you're thinking about it, is that Dehya is the most improved character through constellations out of any of the characters through the base banner or the lost 50/50s. So she gets a 50% improvement on her C0 going to C1, as well as around a 50% improvement to the C2. Now, the reason it's that high, Theorycrafters will tell you it's about 40 and 20, but it's actually a little bit different because you don't end up, all the math that was done was based on burst rotation Dehyas, so using Dehya as a primary on-field DPS, not as an elemental skills supporting character. So if you're using it as an elemental skill supporting character, it's a much higher increase to the overall viability of Dehya when you talk about the overall DPS increase for what she actually gets for how you use her. So she does get a very large boost for Constellation, so definitely, you know, pre-farm her, unless you wanted to wait all the way to world level 9, in which case you can get more boss drops rates. So if you're like a newer player, then, you know, obviously wait to farm Dehya, because then you'll get the higher drop rates at world level 9 if you're already AR58. Another thing that you can do, which is what I'm doing right now, is farm artifact roots. Now, this is going to be a really, really important thing for both veteran players and early game players. If you don't know what an artifact root is, it's where you go around and you farm artifact XP in the open world, and there are specific routes enabled so that you can actually get more artifact XP. You get around 70,000 artifact XP per day, which is roughly about 1/3 of a total artifact that you're going to need to level to +20. So that's the amount that you get on the daily. So now you're limited to 100 investigate slots per day. You're not going to farm every single artifact in the open world to then get all the XP you need. So it takes about 10 minutes or so to get every single artifact in an artifact route. Nowadays, it used to take like 30 minutes, which was like way too long for anybody to even think about. But 10 minutes a day is not that bad. The reason you're going to need to do this is threefold. First, if you're a newer player, you're obviously in need of artifact XP so you can get better artifacts, because you need to get the XP to just level all the artifacts for the characters that you have. You're going to get a lot of XP and things that just throughout the game, but you know, you're still going to need more. Even as a veteran player, you need a lot more. Second reason is there's a brand new item coming out called the Sanctifying Elixir. This Sanctifying Elixir is able to be acquired for all players, and the only thing that you need to get the Sanctifying Elixir is lots and lots of artifact XP. You need, I think, a total of 5 artifacts at +20 to then be converted into another artifact, so that you can get the artifact XP, the perfect artifact that you want, that crit rate and crit damage artifact. Now that's for one Sanctifying Elixir, so we'll be doing that very consistently. You also get through the battle pass and other means, but you're gonna have to convert, I believe, some of the initial information on this is it's every 14 days, so correct me if I'm wrong on release of NATLAN. If it's wrong, I don't know for sure, but apparently you're gonna need that amount of artifact XP every single day. Now, if you're farming artifacts as well, you know that getting 5 artifacts to +20 every 2 weeks is basically all that you're doing already. So in order to double the amount of artifact XP that you have incoming, the only way that you can actually get that artifact XP is through artifact XP routes, like I'm doing right now, and that will allow you to get the Sanctifying Elixirs every 2 weeks. Otherwise, you're going to have to be resin refreshing or doing other things with spending money in order to get that. Now, we are getting a lot more XP out of the battle pass, as well as being able to purchase some from the teapot. But after doing the math on exactly what we're getting through the teapot and the battle pass, it's not nearly enough to accommodate what a lot of players will need for getting the Sanctifying Elixir, as well as wanting to level up their new characters, their supporting character artifacts, all that kind of thing. And many players already, you know, destroy a lot of 5-star artifacts through the artifact exchanger to try to get better artifacts. So this will just make it a lot easier for you as a veteran player or a newer player to then get everything that you need. And 10 minutes a day is a small sacrifice to make with all the daily improvements that we have right now, because now you don't even have to spend the time doing the dailies. You can spend that time that you were spending doing the dailies getting your artifact XP instead, and it is a much easier process now than it was before. Oh, by the way, if you're newer to Genshin Impact and you need a team composition for artifact routes, this is the free-to-play new player composition. Use Sayu, Lynette, and Gaming for movement speed in the start of the day. And each one of these characters allows for fast run for artifact routes. So if you don't, you know, have the characters that you need, this is the team. Another thing you could do prior to the release of NATLAN is actually farm crystalflies. Many people are going to have a lot of fun exploring the areas and not wanting to spend resin every single day or spend a lot of time in domains. So having enough butterflies so that you can actually condense your resin so that you can have more fun exploring would be actually a very fun thing and smart thing to do. So if you're a little bit bored right now and you've done everything in Genshin Impact, you can actually just go around and farm some crystalflies. I mean, that would be a cool thing. And they also came out with a gadget that gives you 15 crystalflies every week. So if you wanted to use that instead because you're lazy, that would probably be a good thing to use this week, just so you had 15 crystalflies. Is there anything else we gotta do?
Hey, Seka!
I can't think of anything. Surprisingly enough, I got through that entire segment of everything I needed to talk about in a super fast fashion. And you know what? I actually got stalled, and I actually, in the time frame that it took me to talk about this, I actually fully completed an artifact route, and I'm already at the very end of it. So if you're thinking that artifact routes take way too long, I mean, I did it in the time that it took me to record this video, so that's kind of cool. So if you feel like this is still not worth doing because you just don't want to be a meta player or whatnot, it actually becomes far more enjoyable once you learn it. And I'm all done. Bye.